Well, this was a great conversation with Caroline Millet. I am thrilled. Another one. This is another one. I should just always say that every conversation has been amazing because every conversation is amazing. And she is talking about dating and dating burnout. And that's why I had her on the show because, there's so many of us who are struggling, who are single, who have just come out of a divorce or a relationship. And it's just, you are wanting connection, you are wanting to find someone that who connects with you. And maybe you are someone who is on the dating apps, or you just find the even thought of dating absolutely exhausting. Well, this is for you. We talk about everything that you can think of, and Carolyn has 6 paths to creating a stable um, life so that you can then not be burnt out when you're looking for true connection. This is a great conversation. You are going to want to even go to her Instagram and to her website where she will lead you to how to live a good life. She will lead you to being your own friend. She will lead you to creating intentional community, to find the through lines of your past. What are the things that kind of are the same in your life right now that are contributing to maybe you not being who you really are in your own confidence? She will find those through lines, help you examine your influences, and help you look at who you are, who you think you want to be, and begin to help you find your place and ultimately find some connection with someone else who can really help you flourish and you can help them flourish. This is a great conversation. And her specialty is aligning you to identify your ideal partner. You find the alignment in yourself, and then you can identify your ideal partner. This is a great conversation. Join me, Carolyn Millet. She is fabulous. I am really excited to have you on today.
Oh, I'm really excited to be here. I was listening to one of your episodes about stability and I was just like, oh
Ooh.
gosh, this just is so resonates so much. And you know what? We're the same age.
No, we're like 30, right?
Right, right. 38.
Yay! Well, we both look young, so that's helpful.
Yes, it does help. It does help.
It helps a
You got to
lot.
keep up on the slang and what's going on and be like extremely online. So I so everyone thinks I'm cool.
Oh, well, and being a matchmaker you're a matchmaker, that's what you would say, correct?
No, no,
Okay.
I'm a coach. I stopped matchmaking a long time ago, and, 'cause I don't think it
Ooh.
really helps your what's going on. So that's why I just switched to, like, just coaching. So I was like, "Well, then we can have, like, temporary solution or we get a permanent solution."
All right. We have we have skin in the game because
Mhm.
you have a daughter, right?
Uh-huh.
She's going to be dating. I
Yeah.
have people who, 3 who are in, well, our youngest not yet, but she will be, and we're living in a crazy time for connection, for human connection.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So,
that's extremely true.
so what I'm really curious, when you were a matchmaker, what happened? Why did you get out of that? Why move to coaching? Like, share, go, tell. I'm all ears here.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, when I was, so matchmaking was my dream job. And I got the job working for a company, so obviously I have to do it like their way, right? I had a lot of latitude and kind of how I connected with people, but there was a process that that you had to go through, and it's sales.
Right.
It's just sales, and it was and I had been in sales. I went there from being a recruiter. So, and then before that, I sold insurance. So I had been in sales a really long time, and it was probably the hardest sales job I ever had.
Oh,
Um, because first of all, I had to constantly study, right? And
right.
constantly get better at people and understanding them. But on top of that, I had you're just trying to process a contract so you
Hmm.
can get to the next person.
Okay, so someone walked in way back when you were a matchmaker and said, "I need to find somebody in my life.
Mhm.
Here are my requirements."
Mhm.
And that was you entered a contract because
Mhm.
you were the person that had contacts that you could put them through filters, and then you were going to introduce them to, let's say, 30 people into a room of 30 or whatever you would do. I mean, I'm only thinking because I used to watch that matchmaking show.
Yeah, that is, I really hope that on that show that that's her process just for TV, because it's so ineffective that I can't imagine that you would actually do it that way. So, generally, like, yes, we would have periodic mixers, but
Sure.
it's extremely personal. So it's basically like I would the company would run ads. Like, that's the advantage of working for a company, is they have
Sure.
money to put ads out,
Yep.
right? So they would run ads and they would get people into the database. And then I would be reviewing the database for starters, and I would be booking meetings with people. And so I would obviously prioritize people who I thought would be more likely to hire me.
Mm,
And then just based on the cost of the contract.
right.
And then I would also be meeting with people who might just be in the database.
Okay.
And then the people in the database are potential matches. That's free for them, right? So if anyone ever reaches out to someone like, "Do you want to be in my database and you're single?" Just say yes, because they can't force you to become a client, right? And
Right.
you might be fixed up with a client. And when you think about it, a client is serious and has resources, which are attractive, right? That's attractive if you're serious.
Okay.
So the really tough thing is that I'm going to move this. The really tough thing is that most of the clients are women. Like, not all, if I could only have male clients, I might still be matchmaking because it's so easy.
Why?
Because a woman will if I go to another woman and I say, "Hey, I have this male client and he's so great," and I talk about him and everything, what they're seeing is that I'm willing to advocate for him. They're also seeing, again, someone who's resourceful and serious and knows how to ask for help and will ask me for help. Will ask a woman for help, right? That's how serious they are. And so to a woman, this is attractive. This is all it's worth meeting them. It's worth meeting them, right? They
Mm,
recognize they needed help and they sought it out, and that's attractive. When a man hears, like, if a female client, in their mind, women are constantly just swatting men off with a stick. That's what men think. And so if a woman is a client and I say, well, she is a VP at a major tech company, she cannot be on an app. She does not have the time to go to events.
yeah.
Like, this is the best way for her to spend her time. They hear, like, more successful than me, too busy to pay attention to me, and then desperate. And
Whoa.
so they're tough. They're really tough. So basically, if you're like, "Why didn't you do this?" Well, like, the first reason is kind of men, honestly. That's the first reason is they sold the company and then they decided, we're not gonna continue to grow your region because they had put like 2 people and 0 resources into the region.
Right.
And so I'm in Seattle. This is a big area and it
Yeah.
is very tough because it's a region of introverts. And we also have a lot of time where the weather, like, you can't be out.
Sure.
It's not like in LA where you could just, oh, every 3 months we throw a pool party, which
Yeah,
is what
that
they
doesn't
did in
happen.
LA.
Not in the West Coast here.
Yeah, we can't do that. So It's, it's a tough market to be in. I know a lot of people. I met a lot of people who have been, hustling this business solo, and it's really, really hard. I mean, it was well over 60 hours a week, well over easily. Um, and so during that, when you have a client, you're date coaching. You have to
Yeah.
be date coaching.
Right.
And they the format of matchmaking doesn't allow you to date coach the way you really need to,
Which is what?
which is like if you're when you're matchmaking, you're helping them show up better on the date. You're helping them dissect the date and decide what they want to do next, or how we can make them next match better, whatever
Okay.
you need to learn, right?
Yeah.
The kind of coaching I do now is more investigative around what you want and what you're really looking for and why you want it.
Oh.
Because there were themes that were so common, I could almost just finish a sentence. I just knew what someone was going to say, and they
So
were just
what
really
so
unexamined.
for our listeners
Mhm.
who are so curious, what are those? Like, you could finish someone's sentence. Give us sentences.
Yeah, so, they would say, really basic things, and you'll hear them on dating shows too all the
Yeah.
time, like,
Yeah.
"Well, honesty is really important to me, I want someone who's caring, I want someone who's supportive." Like, these are duh,
Yeah.
duh.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, it's
I'm
more
sorry, what do you think
right.
the alternative is? Like, let's get and then also if you drill down, you
Right.
ask someone, what does that mean?
Right.
They really have to pull, right? Also, like, aligns with my values. Okay, what are your values? Well,
Values.
let's get really specific about what that means to you, because what that means to you is different from what that means to somebody else. And if you don't know exactly how that looks and you're taking someone's word for it, you could end up in wasting your time. So,
It almost seems to me, and I'm kind of going into apps, like the dating
mhm.
apps moment here, but I
Yeah.
I would imagine it was the same for you back in the matchmaking days, and it's probably what you hear now as a coach. So
Mhm.
we're kind of in this weird triangle of
Mhm.
questions, but there is a difference between what you experience right here
Mhm.
and what you experience in real life. Like,
Mhm.
and I think people set a filter that says, okay, honesty is what I'm looking for.
Mhm.
But really it's like everybody has closed minds. Everybody has a shadow. Everybody has
Mhm.
a context. Everybody has an anger maybe trigger. Like how they show up in real life is very, very different from I need honesty. No, you need connection. Like you could be in a club, a bar, a restaurant, or sitting across from somebody, and if in your head you've got a filter that says I want someone that's 6'1",
Mhm.
and you have this incredible connection with a guy, or you're a guy that says, I want a girl who's 5'10", let's just say, and she stands up or he stands up and he's significantly shorter and she's significantly taller. Do you just reject them out of like the connection is the driver? So to say something like, I want honesty or I want them with my values, you're teaching people how to find connection in themselves first,
Mhm. Yes.
stability first,
Yes.
then moving out to once you do that, then you're going to actually know what the filters are without really having to put filters on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did a big workshop this past weekend, and a lot of it it's basically my program. It's like we're going to focus on what you can control, because you're mixing all the noise up, right? Bad
Right.
influences, things you can't control, external other people's behaviors, all these external factors.
Yeah.
And you're also usually people get really tied up in an idea of love and relationship that is just not. reflective of who they are right now
Oh,
and what they have learned. And so it's really like dismantling that and going like, okay, let's like actually just section by section, we parse it out and everything we're going to go, does this make sense? No. Can you reframe it? No. Throw it out.
can you
Throw
give
it
an
out.
example of this? Because because this is really important. Love and relationship, not the reflection of where you are right now. So, what does that mean? Because most people would say, well, this is my present moment. This is my circumstance. How am I not here right now?
Yeah, so it's that you hold on to these beliefs and these ideas. And so usually we are carrying around these influences around what like a fulfilling relationship or a fulfilling life looks like. Right?
Mm,
And that's it's usually influenced by a bunch of different things.
mm.
Usually it's like your parents, your friends' parents. I know like I had a lot of influence with my friends' parents, media. I mean, come on, right?
Media is
Books. I
excruciating.
was a heavy reader, right? Books, like all kinds of areas where you get messages around what a successful relationship is and what you
The
might want.
Outlander.
Yeah, I want things to be just like a little rapey, like no, you don't.
No.
You don't.
No, you don't
Like
actually.
yeah,
No.
I that's your business, but you don't. Like, so
Yeah.
there's like all these ideas and you kind of like mush them together. And even just like your friends, right? You might feel like you know your friends really well and you know like their relationship really well,
Yep.
but you don't actually know. You don't really know what goes on behind closed doors, right? So let's
Nope.
just look. If you're looking at someone else's relationship or you're looking at some other influence and you're saying, okay, I really want that. We're going to break down why. What is it
Mm.
about that you are drawn to? What do you see? What do you think you see? And
Hmm.
let's actually apply it and figure out like what is applicable to your life right now. What are your
I
actual values and what do you actually see that relates to you right now? So we go back and we go forward.
Yes, applicable to you right now. So you can say, I love that my parents had this really beautiful connection on Saturday mornings,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Had they had breakfast together and coffee and I loved it because they were always laughing and they were, and I want that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but there's 6 other days of the week
There's 6
where
other days of the week and or it's like, my parents never fought, and it's like, "Do you think that's a good thing? Why do you think that's good?" And the other thing that people do that's super, super common is
interesting.
they have, like, an early or some sort of intense experience of love,
Ah,
and that becomes, like, their baseline. And they don't accept that there are like your love for someone is going to feel a million different ways. And if you ask someone who was like, especially people who were deeply, deeply in love with their partner and they lost them and they recover and they move on and then they meet someone else and they love them too. If you say, you love your partner so much right now, how does this compare? They're going to say it's different.
oh yeah.
It's a different love. It's not that I love them more or less, right? It's just
Nope.
different because each person is different, so each relationship dynamic is gonna be different. You have to be open to that. But if you have like an early intense experience of love and you're, a teenager or, young adulthood
Yep.
and it's your life just isn't as complicated, right?
Right.
And you have a lot of like hormones, everything is just kind of heightened. You're attaching a lot of meaning to things because you need context. And then the next thing you know, you're going, oh, you're like 40, still like going like, how do I get that love again? You know what? You're not. You won't. So you need to just take each thing as it comes. So we're going to get
Mm.
organized around that and understand that like you can't start at this intensity because it only goes down.
What's the first step to what you just said? So if you were to offer one step with each point, because I am taking copious notes, but I'm gonna lose things here because I this is so full. So what would be the first step here? What you just said is you're measuring something from what you had, and that's not the same person. It's not the same circumstance. You actually aren't the same. that
Mhm.
you were back
And
then.
that person isn't the same. They don't exist anymore, right?
Correct. Yes, they don't. They're not in your life. They
They're
are
not in your life
walking and
and they've grown
breathing.
too.
They've
They're different
yes.
people too. So even if you met now, there's no guarantee that it would be the same. So you have to accept that the past, you take a lesson, take your lessons,
Okay.
but the rest of it is garbage.
Okay, so go for it. What's the lesson? What's the first thing someone says, I'm not doing a course, I'm not going in to be coached. I just am in my car, I'm walking, and I just want to know. Just give me something.
The first step is understanding very specifically what you bring
Mm,
and making sure it's equal to what you're asking for.
right.
Because it's usually uneven.
Why is it uneven?
Because people usually don't see themselves that clearly. They don't see their intent and how it aligns with their impact. They don't see how they're perceived.
Mm,
And so we all have that, and you'll always have that, right? Because you also can't control the lens through which someone else sees you, but you can get yourself closer to making sure that you're understood and that you understand exactly what you intend. Like one of the examples
mm,
for my workshop was that, um I'd recently been described by several people as motherly, and in my mind I'm like a mom, and I'm like, "Ugh, it's so like not fun, right? I don't want to be a mom. Like, what do you mean?" And I it first was like, ugh, I'm a mom. I was like,
yeah.
ugh, I don't like that. But I asked for an example, like, give me an example because that's what I do if I get feedback. I'm like, please be specific. Give me an example. I would like to know. So, because that's the only way
Mm,
we know how
ah,
we're coming across, right?
yep.
And how people are tying our actions to our words and, how they're trying to figure out who we
Hmm.
are.
Yes.
And so they were like, oh, well, whenever we go to the beach, you show up with everything. And they're
Mm.
like, you have the shelter, the blankets, the towels, the chairs, the snacks, the two kinds of sunscreen, like and I'm like, well, I don't want that date. Like my intent is I don't want the day to end early because we forgot something, someone was uncomfortable, it was too hot, they didn't have sunscreen, whatever it was, right?
You're organized.
Yeah, I wanna set it up so that we have a nice, half day at the beach because that's how long I wanna be there too.
Yes.
So I'm,
Yes.
like, trying to, make it comfortable for everybody.
Yes.
But to them, it's like being super prepared that way, always being, like, the one with whatever you need
More prepared.
is
Yeah.
motherly. And I was like, "Oh, so that means you can, like, trust me."
Mm.
Right? Like,
Mhm.
you can count on me and you can trust me. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, that's a good thing. I'll take that." Right?
Yeah,
But the way you conveyed it to me because
that's right.
you interpret that as motherly behavior.
Now, interestingly about the motherly behavior, because someone else might never describe you that way, because if they didn't have a good version of their mom, and this just proves your point. It's like if they didn't have a good version of their mother or at that time, then they would not say that about you. They would say, "Oh, you are very organized," and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had a lot of clients who say like family's really important to me. And so for them, if they went out with somebody who wasn't close with their parents, to them that's a red flag. And I said, how what can you also view it as like they have boundaries?
Mm.
And being close to your parents is a privilege, right? It's like when people
Mhm.
say like a workplace describes their culture as being like a family. To them this is a good thing.
Mm.
And it's a privilege to view that as a good thing, right?
Mhm. Okay, so how does your personal experience play into all this?
Yeah, so I was married for 10 years. I've been divorced for 11, almost 12
Okay.
years now. And I dated a bit when I first met my ex-husband. When I first met him, I was barely 18 and he was like 26. No, I was barely 19, sorry. I was 18. I
Okay.
was almost 19. He was 26. And,
And now,
I
do
mean,
I worry about that there's an age difference here? Does that concern anybody, or did that
it
concern
didn't.
you? Okay.
No, and that's another thing. It's like, "Oh, look at the culture and the patriarchy and what it's done." Like, what it does to you, and so you basically, like, lose your youth, and I wasn't with him that whole time. I
Mm.
dated, like, in between because he moved away, but, I was searching for stability. I
Oh,
was searching for safety and security, and that was what I was looking for, and so I that was, like, my baseline. You cannot reach for more if you do not have that. Right?
well, yes. And if because you're looking for someone to fill it,
Mhm,
and you're I would imagine when you're leading people to say, "Okay, you're burnt out." It's
mhm.
because you're not going to your own well. You're not finding your own joy, your own
Yes.
stability, your own everything. What
Yes.
is happening is you're getting someone else to fill it.
Mhm.
And that has a shelf life.
Yeah, yeah. It absolutely does, and, and, like, with the apps, like, people interact with the apps while they feel like garbage. What good will come of that? What good will nothing good will come of it, and people, like, don't get it, and they
No.
just complain, and it's so my daughter, how old was she? 7, 7, 6, 7,
6, 7.
when we split up,
Yeah.
and, um, I left, and I left with really nothing. I
Oh,
really had nothing. He had alienated me from all of my friends. I
mhm.
was a stay-at-home parent, which we both wanted because I didn't have that and he did. And I was homeschooling, so it was like I really had nothing at that point. I had been working like barely part-time at a business that we owned and we had sold it. And so I had nothing. And in Seattle, it's very expensive. It's hard. There's just it's hard
Uh-uh.
to start over. And I just
Yeah.
kept going. I just knew things would work out. Things would work out. I knew that like I am there by the grace of God. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not
Did
religious,
you
but you know.
right. Did you have in your like the breaking up of this connection marriage, father of your child, was there a choice to say there's nothing, like we've grown into incompatibility?
It was more that we never were, right? And so for
Oh,
him, his math of a happy life was checking boxes. That is so common, right?
yes.
You get the place to live, you get the job, you get the woman, you get whatever, right? You have your math and plus plus equals happy,
Yes.
right? So for him, with me, it was about, and this is so common, it was about the getting and the having,
Ooh.
right? And it was transactional. And it was never about actually seeing me as who I am
Mm.
and nourishing our relationship and me. Like it was like I got this, I have this now. And there's a kind of a joke where people go like if you want to know who was right in a breakup,
Mhm.
look for who glows up versus who immediately moves on.
Ooh.
And I was like
Yes.
I had the glow up, right? I felt free. I had lost 200 pounds. That was how it felt. I'd lost 200 pounds. And I was, free. I was lighter. Even in my darkest times, I was lighter. And then he
Mm.
immediately met somebody else and they're married now and they have another child. And I waited a while, and then I started dating, and then, honestly, before I was really ready, I felt really hard for somebody who was a classic avoidant, who love bombed me, who did a blindside breakup on me. Basically, I had no idea it was coming. It just shook me to
Okay,
my
so
worst thing ever.
how long were you out of your so you divorced. Now, how long were you out before you took this risk with the love bomber? Sorry, I'm calling
9
them a love
months.
love bomber.
9
9
months, and,
months?
I felt like in that time, and I know, better now, but
Yeah.
in that time, I was like, "Listen, I had been wanting to get divorced for a really long time." Like, we had been to therapy. This was my 3rd attempt.
Right.
So, to
Right.
me, I had left everything on the table,
Okay.
and I wasn't looking to fall for somebody, but he love bombed me. Like,
Ooh,
what,
what does
you
love
know?
bombing look like?
They just So it's funny because, I really and I know that I've had it happen to me twice, I would say. And one was with a text. I hate when people say narcissist, but he was textbook, and not in an actively damaging way, but in the
Okay.
very classic way where we're like, he's just in love with himself. He just
Mm.
loves himself, and everything in life is about what it reflects on him. Like, if he's helpful, it's so you see him as helpful, right?
Right.
And it was always like him first, and everyone is around to just serve his life experience. This is very classic, right?
The classic narcissist is often characterized by very charismatic, and
Yeah.
they don't show the narcissism for a bit. It doesn't come out right away. So
Yeah.
they are just fantastic people,
Yeah.
and you can barely find fault with them.
Well, there's also, like, this element of just, like, pushing the boundary a little bit, just continually
Mm,
pushing the boundary a little bit, and then me saying, like, "Hey, I'm not comfortable, like, talking that way to you," or
yes,
whatever, like,
sure.
"Hey, I'm from Minnesota, we don't talk like that, we have walls," like, I don't do that, and him just, like, not listening and continuing, so I had no choice but to, like, go along with it. So the
Mm,
other relationship was about 2 years, and he was a classic avoidant, and what they do is, like, they don't know. Usually avoidants have no idea. They just
no.
think they're commitment phobic, they haven't met the right person yet. When they meet the right person, all the pieces will fall into place. It'll be perfect. So if it hasn't been, it's because 'cause you're not the right person, right? So what they wanna do is accelerate that timeline. And so
Mm,
it was so funny, I did TikTok about this because somebody asked,
yeah.
and then they came back and followed up and was like, "Oh, I just, like, was, like, talking to someone, and they did all these things exactly." And it was so it's like, they wanna put themselves on a pedestal,
Yeah.
that they, like, know more about relationships, and so it's
Yes.
always like, "Oh, I read all these books and, blah, blah, blah." They keep up a situation of you feeling competitive with their past, with their exes, like, "But you're better, but you, like, wouldn't do that," right? And they're always, like, kind of the victim, like, they did everything right, and it's just like, it still didn't work out,
Mm,
and, like, she just didn't understand. And they also want to have, like, a very intense physical relationship as fast as possible because it
right.
accelerates everything for them, because once you're, like, in deep, you're committed, and then they can start to get away with more, right?
Right, because you find connection in the intimacy, and then that feels to them, that's what they need. They
Yeah.
actually need the intimacy. They feel valuable, they feel safe, they feel stable, and now they're about to let you know that you don't always meet their needs.
Yeah. And it's not even to say that, it's just like, "Oh, it's just, like, not working out."
Yeah, and you're blindsided
You're like,
'cause
"I was dressed for a date. We're going out."
were
And
you really dressed to go out and he just
I was almost dressed, he showed up 20 minutes early, and I was just finishing work.
and how long have you been together at that time?
Almost 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, that oh, whoa.
Do you know I did Listen, I did a TikTok about that.
Horrified.
I did a TikTok about that. The comments are heartbreaking. 22 years, 8 years, like, on and on and on. Just heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. And sometimes people will even just text you.
Oh, yeah, it's
It's
just
over.
because at the end of the day, it's like emotional cowardice, right? You're just
Oh,
like, you're such a coward. You could not have had a real discussion at any point. And, people go like, "Well, how are you supposed to do it?" Well, you should be having discussions. So you have an idea that maybe things aren't working out and you're working on it and you're like touching
yeah.
in because you're honest,
Mm.
right? And I think, and the thing is that when you have that happen and you had a divorce, you mourn both things. Because usually when you're going through a divorce, you're like so done. You're so done. You're spending a
Right.
lot more time angry than like sad.
Mm.
At some point, anger kind of takes over because it's going to power you through what you have to do
Okay.
to unwind your life from somebody else's. Right. And so you kind of like shelve the mourning stage because you just really need to move forward and there's like things to do. It's kind of, I mean, it's the same as like when somebody dies and you like have to make all the funeral arrangements.
Right.
You're like, pull it together. We got stuff to do. I can break down after everyone leaves town in
Right.
3 weeks when we have the funeral or whatever.
Yeah, and not only that, but when you if you're speaking about the grieving, the funeral, or the divorce, in a funeral, you're then having a receiving line and you have to hug everybody and everybody says sorry. So you're reliving this over and over and over and over again for 3 hours or however
Hmm.
long you're there for.
Hmm.
And then if you're in divorce, you're reliving over and over and over again because you're working out the details of what they're going to have, what you're going to have. And you're also trying to figure out, like you were saying, you need to find your place in the world now.
Yeah.
Who are you now?
Yeah.
So these are not easy things. And if you're in the dating world, you're still thinking, who am I? So
Hmm.
who am I? Because if I can't find someone that is compatible with me, if I can't find someone that I have this connection with, this really if I cannot find that, then who am I? What am I?
Hmm.
And what is wrong with me? These are these are life-changing. Oh goodness.
I know it sounds so fun. Let's talk about dating and stuff, but like I don't let people just tell me stories like about this crazy date or whatever. Like that's not what we're going to do.
No, you're gonna say, "So what how are you showing up?" Because I guess that would be the question that I would ask you.
Hmm.
Okay, so you had the divorce, which you knew, you said, I was looking to get out. This was not what we were not compatible
Yeah, I
at
was the
the same.
frog in the pot of water.
Okay, and so many people are frogs in pots of water,
Hmm.
and when it's too hot, you just you're not prepared, and
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
either boil or jump.
Right. So then you get 9 months out and, we've got the love bomber and he comes in and bombs away and you just, you are open-hearted because you've been in a compatibility, at least in terms of like, um, you're sharing life together, right?
Mhm,
So you want someone like that.
mhm.
So you find that person, they love bomb you, it doesn't work out. You get into another relationship 2 years and he carpet bombs you. Literally is like, "And we're done, and you're out, and there's nothing here."
Mhm.
Okay. So now what did you look at in your life to say, "Okay, I need to show up for me. I need to meet something in me that maybe I haven't seen before."
Yeah. Yeah,
What was that?
I mean, so essentially, like, I was super brittle, right? And I
Oh,
just felt like, "Okay, I have to just, like, take care of myself."
ah.
Nobody, and it was the same as when I got married, was like, I thought someone was going to rescue me because that's what we're taught, and I needed it, right? So that was the dynamic that felt comfortable, was somebody was gonna sweep in and just make things a little easier. And he did. I will not diminish at all the fact that, like, he had been divorced 4 or 5 years at that point, and I would have made a lot of, like, integral mistakes had he not been around to, like, say, "Okay, but think about this, right? Think about this
Nice.
later." So, like,
Nice.
I'm not gonna diminish how helpful all of that was,
It's a lesson. It's a lesson learned.
and I'm just glad because like, my ex didn't make friends with anybody who'd been divorced, and so he labored under all these false beliefs about how things work and how you how you do the paperwork, what's actually stuff you have to consider, what can you expect? He, like, never learned any of that, um, and I decided so the first thing I did was decide I'm gonna be my own best friend.
Perfect.
And so I wrote myself a letter and I made myself a lot of promises. And I kept that letter as long as I needed it. And I immediately, like the next day, I was like in bed just crying. And I
Mm.
called and I like got a new therapist because the last therapy I'd been in was couples counseling,
Right.
so I hadn't been going to my own in a minute. So I got a new therapist. Um, and I decided when I was, wiping all the tears away, I was like, what am I going to do with all this love? I was so good at giving.
Oh.
I was so good at loving him and he was the wrong person. And imagine how much I could love the right person. How great would that be? Because I
Mm.
was so good at it this time. I'll be even better. And so I
Yes.
thought, okay, I have all this love to give and I don't want to just shove it away. Like I've grown a lot. I've been very vulnerable. I've really allowed somebody to see my heart and I'm not going to back up.
Mm.
Like I'm going to stick in this path. What can I do? And so what I did was I built intentional community and I poured love into that.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously I had my daughter and I have to show up for her, love her fiercely, be more present with her. But I took that love and I just intentionally built relationships that were going to support me and sustain me, but I did it by loving them
Hmm.
and continuing to like try new things, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes like an event would come up and I'd be like, I don't know, like there was this one I remember, it was a big group camp and I was like, oh, this seems very weird and I don't know if I want to do this, and it was like all these single parents and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, and I did it
Yeah.
and we had a great time. And it just taught me like, okay, just go do new things and
Mm.
meet new people. And when you want to build a relationship with someone, build it with real intention and be clear, make
Ah.
promises and keep them.
Yes.
And I think that that helped me a lot. And I, over time, like I dated a little bit here and there. And over time, I built this vision in my head. I went like, okay, here's like two paths. One is I'm alone forever and, in that way, and that's okay. I imagined it and I was like, oh, my daughter, like say she moves to New York for college. I'll just move to New York too.
Right.
I'll just be 30
Right.
minutes away or whatever.
Sure.
Like she can
One call.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's
On
I'll
blocks.
whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one I thought, but that would be such a shame because I have so much love to give,
Mm.
right? So I continue to build my life. And there are people who say you can't do both. I that you can, right?
Mhm.
Because it makes you more attractive. Either way, right? So you
Yes, it
build your
does
own life.
actually. In that agency.
Hmm.
And when you, because if I think about burnout, just even in career burnout, I
Hmm.
think about you've poured into one thing really, really hard, and then everything else kind of gets sacrificed.
Hmm.
And so if you can hold both things and
Hmm.
say, actually, both of these are okay. I'm not going to put a clamp or pressure on one thing. I'm just going to come with my intention, my clarity, with my own stability, my own power. Someone is going to see that. And it's you first.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also just like, so in dating burnout, it's like basically you're feeling like you want to give up.
Yes.
And you're thinking, okay, I've had this vision in my head, this thing that I've like always wanted, and I
Yeah.
imagine would be part of me feeling, like I'm reaching my goals and living my life the way I want to, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna give up on it. And usually you want to give up on it because of external factors, like all these things out of your control. And you sort of like lose sight of the things you can control. And people try to address it like a lot of different ways. They want to make up
Okay.
rules.
Sure.
They want to they want to have like these extremely hard line boundaries
Like
around
what?
things. And I totally, yes, please have boundaries,
Yes.
right? But you need to know that sometimes you might be applying them without information.
So what boundaries, what kind of hard line boundaries do people create in this situation?
Oh my gosh, they'll say like, well, if they don't text me back within 2 hours, we're done. They'll say, um, if if the first like three things they say don't include like a question to me, we're done. And it's like some people are nervous.
Right.
Some people are nervous. Or they might be inexperienced at dating. That doesn't make them a bad person. It's kind of like when you go on a job interview, right? When you're interviewing somebody for a job.
Yeah.
If they're bad at interviewing, it means they haven't had to look for a job that often.
You know,
You know,
it's,
like
yeah, I hear you.
interviewing's not the job.
It almost reminds me about products. You know how we have such an age of of immediacy. We get whatever we want.
Hmm.
I ordered Amazon this morning and I was irritated that what I needed wasn't going to arrive until tomorrow. I thought, "Oh, well, I should be able to get it today." We really want those things. And so when we are shopping for a person
Hmm.
to meet us where we are at,
Hmm.
I think sometimes the filters in which we select people would be like a product, like, oh, I want it this height, this weight, like, and this religious value, and this and this and this. And what you're doing is you're sort of eliminating, if you lead with all of that, then you miss out, because if you're in a bar, club, at a party, or walking with your dog, or just outside, and you come across somebody on a path
Hmm.
and you start talking to them, those filters aren't there. And
Right.
say you hit it off, that filter's not there. You're not like religious and da 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 da. You're not going through it, but we
This person didn't walk up with a list in front of
right. And so it's, I hear you saying, checklists, and these really hard lines. So what happens when someone has hard lines for good reasons? We all have hard lines. I've been in a marriage for 30 years. I have some hard lines for
Hmm.
some really good reasons
Hmm.
as well. Dave has hard lines for really good reasons. But how do you approach a situation where you know you're going to be vulnerable?
Hmm.
And you have to kind of not erase those lines, but those lines need to become a bit softer. How do you lead to connection and hold the hard line softly?
I feel like you go in being you're curious. You just want
Okay.
the whole point of dating is to get to know somebody to see if you want to get to know them better. And if you
Right.
want to continually keep getting to know them better. That's what you're doing. And what I don't understand and I understand, but it's such a
Right.
weird message because I've encountered many times where if you say dating to someone, especially to men, they assume it means sex.
Interesting.
And it's like, no, it means you intentionally spent time with someone to see if they're compatible with you in this way, right? If you're someone who might make sense in their life in this very important way.
What about women? What do women have that same perspective? I'm dating, therefore. We're
So,
having sex?
the things that women fall for are pretty genderless as far as, thinking, like, if you go on a date with someone, you now have some sort of claim to them, some sort of ownership over them. And the basic thing is at the end of the day, thinking that somebody owes you something.
Mm,
And the only thing they owe you on a date is like human respect and consideration that you
right.
would for someone who has like said, okay, I'm going to give you precious time out of my life to get to know you.
Wow.
You want to give someone consideration when they've done that. Um, and try to, be hospitable, right?
Yes.
And think about the time that they're spending with you and hope that it is a, nice time. But at the end of the day, you're not looking for their approval.
W You're
It's your
not.
life. You don't need a
Right.
stranger's approval. That's nuts.
You're
Why would
right.
you're just meeting them. You're just two humans meeting each other to see if you want to get to know each other more, because the only way you'll ever have a relationship is if you trust each other. And trust is, actions aligned with words over time.
Sure.
So you'll never trust someone you just met. Even you go on 4 dates, you're just starting to lay a couple bricks, right?
Right.
They made a plan with you, they stuck with it, they showed up on time. It was what they said it would be, whatever it is, right? They're just starting to lay bricks.
So
That's
how do
it.
you find out so you've got 5 bricks down, say,
Mhm.
and you start noticing things? So you start noticing, "Oh, okay, now their conversations are weird. They used to be really on it
Mhm.
in terms of texting and all of that, but now there's, a day goes by."
Yeah.
So when should people start saying, "Okay, I really like this person, but they're showing me some red flags. They're showing things that I'm now the trust factors is going
Mhm.
downwards instead of going in the right direction." What should someone do?
Well, so the first thing you should do is feel gratitude,
Gratitude.
because you're only 4 dates in,
Yes, you're
right?
right. You're
You're
right.
only 4 dates in and you've learned something now. The
Ah,
other thing you should never be afraid to do is to ask, and ask with an open mind, right? Don't project or make an assumption because you actually don't know this person that well.
okay, so
You
what are
only
you
know what they've
asking?
chosen to show you and tell you, right?
Okay.
So you can ask, you can say, "Hey, I'm noticing this. Do is something, going on?" Or like,
Yeah,
if
but then
you're
you
not
feel
interested.
needy. Then you feel needy.
No, you can ask about
Okay.
a behavior change and do it in a neutral way,
Okay.
right? And if they receive that as like an attack and you're like, "Listen, I workshop this." Like my friends and we looked at it. This is fine. Or like sometimes I'll give clients like,
My 10 friends and I wrote this text over wine, and
yeah,
we said it was good.
it's
We looked
fine,
into
right? Or like,
Grammarly.
yeah, I have clients who like I give them like a template,
You
because
do?
they're like just not even sure where to start. And I'm like, here's, start
That's
here and then
great.
we do this and you fill this in and then, and then
Okay.
ask, right? But you ask and you just go, okay, well, it's only 4 dates. I'm not in love. So whatever happens, fine, right? Like if they say no, it's like, okay, I learned something, too bad, on to the next. You know,
Okay.
you you can ask,
Yes.
but, you know, be prepared however they receive that, because they're going to receive that through their own lens regardless of how good you do it, right? So if
Sure.
they feel like they're being called out for being, inconsistent, it's probably happened to them before. And the last person who brought it up didn't do it, very like they didn't say something. They didn't leave room for like, is your mom sick? Like, have you been at the
Right.
emergency vet with your dog and
Yeah.
someone you went on 4 dates with was not your first call?
Yes.
That's fine. right? I'm just asking, but if they had that happen previously and somebody didn't come at that with like an open mind and they get like really defensive, you decide. You go, okay, either, you can say, I feel like you're getting defensive. I'm just asking.
Right.
Whatever you have to say, whatever honesty you want to deliver to me, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Or you can say, I think they're not interested because and then move on. Because like sometimes like there's things going on you're not even receiving, you're not really listening to. You're getting messages, your body's telling you things, your subconscious is delivering little notes and you're just like
And your triggers are activated
he
in
took
the
me to
middle
such
of
a
all
nice
of
restaurant.
it.
Wave
Paid.
it away.
Yeah, because and then when you're on an app, okay, what's your suggestion for people? So they're on one of the apps,
Mhm,
they find someone that's compatible.
mhm.
Okay, so there's your filter, right? You've set your filters, you've done your things. Now we don't go filter less because that would be crazy.
No, but you haven't found someone who's compatible. You found someone who listed things that you think are what you want, right?
Oh, I love
With the
that.
information that you have about yourself and life.
You haven't found someone, we're saying it again. You haven't found someone compatible. You have not found someone compatible. You have found someone who has connected to the list of things that you like.
Mhm.
That is huge.
Yeah.
That's
And
huge.
the other thing is that you don't always know, like, about something until you've experienced it, right?
Yep.
Like when I met my partner, I was not actively looking. I was matchmaking. I was working my butt off. I was also in school full time, finishing my degree and single parenting and like actively building community, right?
Right.
Like I was a busy person.
Yes.
And I was like, well, if I don't really have time, I don't really have time,
Yeah.
and I was just so had my own kind of burnout because I was basically living in this world all the time and so focused on it in a way that I just didn't feel like I had much left over for myself. And I had a client who back then Hinge was new
Yeah.
and she had downloaded it and like one day because she was, I don't know, having some wine or whatever. And she texts me and she's just in a panic. And
Yes.
she's like, I don't understand how this app works. Can we meet, tonight to go over it? Cause I'm getting messages and I don't know what to do. And I was like, okay, sure. So I thought, oh shoot, Hinge is brand new. I've looked at it maybe twice, not
Mhm.
never seriously. Like,
Right.
and I'm supposed to like kind of know all the apps. And, at that time Bumble was like at the height, right? And
Yeah.
so which was all the same people as were on OkCupid, they're just formatted more aesthetically, let's just remember that, okay? I have so much to say about that, but let's just so
I want,
I was
and
like
make sure to say this.
yeah.
We're coming back to that.
So, I went to go meet her, but before then, obviously, I had to download the app, and so, I had to make a profile for myself, and I'm just, so I can use the app, right? And I can,
Mhm.
like, get to know kind of how it's formatted and stuff like that. So, I go to meet her, we're, going through it and stuff. Later, um, also, it was funny because somebody matched with her on the app and sent her a message, and it was someone I had been chasing to match with her. So I was like, "Don't take that match away from me. It was my match." Like, I was but you know what? That guy's still single. Um, because we're on I'm LinkedIn
'Cause you
connected to
know.
him, and he's still single, and I'm like, "Oh," you know? It's been a long time. Like, I'm like, "Oh, you probably weren't serious anyway. It probably
You
wouldn't have
probably
worked."
weren't serious,
Yeah, you would have treated her great. And so anyway,
right?
I was I kind of forgot about it. And then I was like, one day I looked at it and I had like these matches, and the way it was formatted then was it wasn't clear when you switch from people who liked you to suggested matches. Like it wasn't like a big switch.
Okay.
So if the first 5 were people who liked you, then the 6th one was someone who they were just serving you. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going through and I get to this guy and I'm like, "Oh, that's a really good smile." And I'm such a sucker for a good smile. And I
Right.
thought he had like tattoos and he looks really edgy. I thought I probably am not cool enough for him.
Right.
But, you know, he liked me.
Right.
So they have prompts on there and you answer the prompt. So I answered his prompt and then I kind of forgot about it.
Right.
I don't hear anything. I have a couple other conversations, whatever. I think I went out with like one or two people because I was like, you seem nice. Like, yeah, I haven't
Sure.
met you before. And
Yep.
I'm always like, the other thing is, and it wasn't that I ever dated with this intention, but if I thought someone was like a good person and I was always upfront about what I did for a job,
Yep.
sometimes they'd be like, "If you ever have a match for me, would you set me up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if you want me to." And they're like, "Yes, call me." Right. So it wasn't always time wasted. But
Sure.
if I went on a date, it was for me for sure.
Yeah.
So it's just if someone's really nice or it's not right for you, I can't waste my time. I gotta have a use. So
Yeah, there's no point in, feeling rejection on a first coffee or a first
absolutely not.
tea, like
Absolutely not.
yeah,
And so I didn't hear from him for like a week. And then I get this message back and I'd forgotten about him. And I was like, oh, right, that cute guy with the smile and the tattoos. Like, what a cute
edgy.
guy. And it turned out, this is why you don't make assumptions about people you don't know in their whole life. You don't know what's going on. He was in London, like running a huge conference. And I don't know if you traveled for work ever, but even if you're not doing that, you still don't have capacity
Not at all.
because you're
Not if you're
peopling
holding something. You're peopling. That's what you're doing.
You're peopling all day, and then you get, like, 5 minutes to change and then go to dinner or
And there's a
whatever, and
time change, and there's a whatever. It's hell.
you're so
It's
tired, like
hell.
yeah, you don't have it, and
No.
I was like, "Oh, yeah, please do not interact with a dating app when you're running a conference, like,
Yeah.
internationally, like,
Don't do that.
don't do that."
But I like that you have boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, "I'm busy," And
Perfect.
so then he came back and replied, and it wasn't until like our 3rd date I realized he had never liked me first. Me thinking he did. It gave me the confidence. Oh, well, he
Yeah,
liked
yeah,
me.
yeah. You're like, "Oops."
And I went into our coffee meeting after a full day of meetings. And I was
Oh,
thinking, like, I went in with full meeting energy because that's like going on first dates over and
sure.
over, right? Except that I'm in charge,
I
right? But
oh,
like it's going into for first, you're asking everyone all the first date stuff. And I had like dropped my daughter off at an appointment and I was meeting him at the coffee shop across the street for
yeah,
however long she was in there. And then when
sure.
she was done, I was done. Like I
Out you
had to
go.
walk out.
Nice.
And I walked in and I saw him and I was like, oh, who's this guy? He looks so like scruffy. It's just his style. He's
And you
from
weren't and
Berlin. He's just
that's
his
not like
style.
yeah, but you again, no assumptions is what you're saying.
I
Like,
was like, "Oh, I've met 5 new people today. What's 6?" Who
what's 6?
cares?
And again, you're not trying to make something happen. You're just arriving with who you are,
Mhm,
your authenticity. And
mhm.
sometimes that's the better thing to do.
Yeah, that's what you wanna do. That's what you need to know that you're gonna go in yourself and hopefully have a nice conversation.
Can I just tell you, I've been married 30 years. If I go in with assumptions,
Mhm.
it doesn't work for me. like I
Yeah.
like it doesn't even work after 30 years.
Mhm,
And we are really good. We've gone through so much together. We have a very important communication. Well, we have a commitment to communication.
mhm,
So when someone says, "Oh, I've changed," or you maybe think, "Oh, I've changed in this area." Then life is bringing you that to
mhm,
see, "Hey, have you really changed in that area?"
mhm,
And that is the beauty of always moving forward with
mhm,
growth and development. I think, you know, the one question I have is, so how do we who are dating tolerate rejection? Because there's always someone. It always feels like someone's the loser, but maybe not. Maybe you're both winning. If you look at each other and go, "We're not compatible," you're both winning because now you've just cut, you know, crazy pain out of your life. But how do you talk to the person who has suffered from rejection? They are terrified to put themselves out there
Mhm.
because rejection is no fun. No.
Yeah. So, I did a whole training about rejection.
Okay.
So
I'm all ears.
so there's a few things.
Okay.
There's different situations, right?
Okay.
So, if you've been like when someone rejects you, you have set up a dynamic where you like need their approval and acceptance.
Ooh.
Right? So if you haven't set up that dynamic and you're like, well, I'm still also trying to accept and approve of you, like I'm still trying to, we're just getting to know each other, or
Mm.
we tried it and it didn't work. I mean, at the heart of it, you don't ever want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with you. Right.
No.
And usually what you're reacting to is, first of all, rejection is attached, is deep seated psychological development for evolution. Because if you were cast out of like your tribe,
Okay.
it meant you would die,
Yes.
right? You would probably die alone. Or it's like packs where if you get ostracized, that is the punishment. It's attached to the exact same system that receives pain, of any physical pain. You cut yourself, it's the same thing, it's just that you can see the cut, right?
Okay.
So you're predisposed to feel rejection strongly. So it's not that you can ever really get over a loss, but it's to recognize what it means and to take the lesson. And the lesson is like, I got to know this person, we're not compatible. And sometimes the lesson is I put myself in a position where they got to decide if they approved of me.
Oh.
And so that's my lesson. I won't do that again. Right.
So
And
I put myself in a position where they approved, where I valued their approval more than I valued my own, which in some levels is interpreted as you gave your power away.
yeah, yeah. Because if you really
Okay.
are just like getting to know each other
Yes.
and somebody says, I don't think this is working for me, then you want the information that it's not working for them.
But if you have that underlying driver of, I need stability, I need safety, I need this now, I have to have this, that's going to be really uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you should not be dating
Oh,
until you get that fixed.
you you are so right. Okay, if you need stability, safety, security, you should not be dating.
You need to know how to provide that for yourself,
Yeah,
because then you understand how to build that with somebody else.
absolutely.
People,
Ye-
a person cannot provide you that.
Yeah.
You need to have that on your own so you can build and reinforce that with somebody else,
Dave and I
right?
always say to our kids, if there's one thing that you need to hear about our relationship and how it's been 35 years,
Mhm.
it's that we don't need each other. We
Mhm.
actually find the love and the value and the confidence and the security and stability in who I am.
Mhm.
Your dad does that for himself.
Mhm.
And then we merge together in this equality that works.
Yeah, I tell my daughter that too. Even like when I was dating and say she would meet another kid who, whose parents weren't together, and they
Yeah.
would say, "Oh, so and so's mom doesn't date at all." And I was like, "Well, that's too bad." And a lot of people think that, "Oh, I'm not gonna date till they move out, blah, blah, blah. I don't want them to get attached to people, then they leave their life." And I'm like, "Why wouldn't you explain it to them?"
Okay, we got to talk about this. This is one of my, okay, why, what happens? So let's just hone down on that for a second. So, kids and dating. You just had a story about your daughter's friend who said, my parent doesn't date. Because why? Because they don't want their kid to meet someone new all the time. Is that's what it is. So
Yeah.
what how do you talk to that? What's your do you have advice? Do you have an opinion one way or another?
I totally and people hate this.
Okay.
They hate it the way you say, like, the real secret to parenting is to co-parent because then you get time by yourself, right? You get time to recharge, and then when your kids are around, you're so much more present and intentional with them, and, like, people hate hearing that, but,
Why?
because they think you're, like, saying it's better to be divorced, and I'm like, "Well, sometimes it is," you know?
Well, hey, I would say this. If you are in a relationship where you are yelling and screaming at one another, where you are
Mhm.
silent treating, where you are undercutting and you are speaking poorly in
Or even
front,
you're tired, you're done. You're
or you're not
just
saying any words.
Yeah.
You're just
You're
your
just
body's
going
doing it.
you're just every day is just a series of tasks you have to complete.
You've been there. You said this wasn't working for me.
Mhm.
And probably, I'm assuming this, you can correct me, but your daughter probably was a main factor in you saying, I got to teach her how to live to herself, to thy own self, be true and not tough this out.
Yeah, I felt like I was turning into my mom, and I was like, "I can't have my daughter watch me that way, the
It's a
way I
big one.
watched my mom." And so I here's the thing, your children are looking to you for examples for everything,
Yeah.
even if they think you're not cool enough to know, right? They're looking to you for examples with everything, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah.
And when you show them that you are a full person, and you're not just a role filler, you're not just mom, you are a grown adult woman who has her own life, her own desires, her own wishes. That is important for them to know that you have your own wants and needs. Okay.
How do you balance that though with um what if a guy's not like so you're in a 2-year relationship like you said and then you came out of it. So how did you balance the heartache, the connection with like maybe did your daughter know this person too and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And so here's the thing. I don't think you should wait until you're getting engaged or like deeply in love with someone before they meet your kids or you meet their kids, right?
Okay.
Because if they're not compatible with your children, you need to prioritize your children,
Wow.
right? Your
Yeah.
responsibility is always going to be to them first. So if you are so deep in and it's not working out and you're like, "It'll get better," and you just, like, press forward because you feel like you cannot walk away, that's where you get into trouble. And if it's, like, earlier, you're like, "Okay, well, I don't really respond to how our children interact. I don't respond to how you parent your children." Like, that's another identity of somebody you need to know. How are they parenting their children? And they need to see how you're parenting yours. Because if it's incompatible and they're not willing to have a conversation about it, you need to know that as soon as possible, right? And you
Well,
can
there's
always
red flags, right? What are
Yeah,
the
and
red flags that we're going to show us red flags? What are the red flags from your experience?
From a parenting standpoint is that I am not an authoritarian parent and my child doesn't require that, right? Like she's not going to respond to that. She doesn't need that.
Sure.
So my goal as a parent, and this is like something I didn't have compatible with my partner, right? But I was too young to know that we really have to talk about that. And a lot of
Sure.
people don't. They think, you're going to grow into it together. And it's like, no, you're going to bring a lot of baggage in it together. Is that my definition of a good parent and successful parent is that I create an environment where my child understands and trusts themselves and that their goal in life is that they can create their own happiness and satisfaction. And my ex, his idea of a good child right? A successful child
Yes.
is obedience and achievement. And you can see how those are very different.
Very.
And it
Very.
wasn't showing up yet, but it was going to. And I could see it. It wasn't showing up yet, but I could see down the road. And so I if I met somebody whose view of raising a child was to be authoritarian and that they have to get good grades or I'm a bad parent or they
Mm,
won't succeed. And I'm like, no one's ever asked to see my grades. People say I'm smart. You never asked for my grades, did you?
right.
It doesn't matter. So
Okay.
the point is that I am resourceful.
Mm,
And
very
if I need
interesting.
something, I'll find a way to get it.
Yes, you will.
And I want a resourceful child who,
Other Are
yeah.
there other red flag signs that you've heard in your coaching experience?
Oh gosh. Like always talking about your ex, I think
Mm,
is really um that's not good, especially when
okay.
you're dating early. Um Testing your boundaries really early,
What
like
about if somebody isn't like they have kids and you meet and they have kids and they haven't seen their kids in a long time and you have kids and like how do you is that a red flag?
oh, for me, absolutely. Yeah, and I it's hard for sometimes people to get get that, like, but there is, like, no world in which you would keep me from my kids.
No. What about
So,
and
if
age
that's
is a
their
factor too,
choice.
right? Like,
Huh?
I'm 50 this year, so my kids are, I've got a 26-year-old daughter. Let's just say in 10 years, 15 years, I'm 60. Okay, there's a different level there. When you're talking to someone who might be in that same age group, you're not home with people, there's more independence. But we're talking about in these really important school years where it's you're noticing something like that. They could be the best person in the world, but if they are not showing up for the people that are they are responsible for,
Mhm.
that's a red flag.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, some people just I always wanna give room to gently bring people to that understanding.
Okay.
Because especially if they've been, like, in an abusive marriage and things like that, and they really are or they're really used to, like, just a lot of controlling relationships,
Right.
their tolerance for that is gonna be different. Do I do I agree with it? Absolutely not, but it's kind of like, yeah, I always wanna leave room for somebody to kinda try to understand that because
Mm,
I always thought because, man, I dated a lot of single dads and they would just be like, "Oh, I'd love to see my kids more, but, like, she's so difficult." And I'm like, "If you told me I had to walk barefoot over molten glass every day to call a prison to get access to my kids for 10 minutes,
I would.
I would do it." So, she's mean to you? Mm,
Yeah.
she mean to you? Like, that's how I feel about it. But a lot of people have different views around I try to, like, not I try to leave room for it to be, like, a non-gendered discussion, right?
Sure.
And I don't wanna paint I know a lot of really, really, really good dads
Of course.
who deal with really, really tough situations and stuff, but I will say that, like, you the idea that somebody would be responsible for a child and just sort of
Say
say
I
like,
I
"Oh,
I
well, the
have
nice thing is I have a
limitations.
lot of time for you because I only see them 1 weekend a month," and it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no.
Oh,
Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, right.
What's wrong with you?"
Because there's something there. There's something there.
There's always something there. If your exes hate you, like, they hate you,
Right.
like, that is
Yeah, that's it.
what did
What did you do?
yeah.
And what are they doing?
Yeah, not just like, "Oh, they didn't understand you the way I do." Mm-mm.
No.
They
No.
understood you better.
Right. who you were showing up to be, they were seeing that.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
think about immaturity. Like a lot of people carry a lot of things that are immature
Yes.
into their dating beliefs. And one of them is that like you can't ever be friends with your exes.
So then what if somebody's worried about their friend that person's friends with all their exes? Then that's weird.
That's usually not going to be true. I can't even imagine where that would be true,
Huh.
right?
Interesting.
But if you're friends with a couple of them because you dated for a little bit and you were like, "Hey, we have a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and I enjoy you, but we are incompatible
Yes.
in this capacity."
Perfect.
But you can still be, as long as it's, like, all out in the open and
Yeah. Yeah.
you're talking to each other as friends, like, you can draw that line, and some people are like, "No, no, if they've ever seen me naked, like, we can never be friends again," and I'm like, "Oh, who are
Mm.
you picking that's so immature they can't compartmentalize that and go, like, that was, like, that I was a different person, they're a different person, we're different now." I mean, 2 of my closest friends are people I dated who I hang out with my partner.
Right. You just have a different outlook on it than other people.
Yeah,
But
I look at
again,
them, like, as extended family. They're
right.
like emergency contacts for
Yeah.
my daughter,
Right, but that's
like
your
extra
sense of
emergency contact.
stability, and I think that's the piece. I'm not one to I I think there's so many layers to apply to that situation for different people. It's
Mhm,
context, it's
mhm,
all kinds of things. There's I just know there's grace and kindness and um and there might be reasons, and so they have to sit with those reasons. But what I hear you saying is, there are some really clear red flags
mhm,
that some people just keep going through. And you're saying, as a coach, I want to offer you something here.
mhm,
What do you say to a person who is absolutely exhausted and says, I want love, I need love, I actually am feeling so lonely, I just don't know if I can do this. The exhaustion, I can't even bring myself to want to do this. How do they show up for themselves to meet the need of connection?
yeah, yeah, so that's burnout,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
that is burnout,
Okay.
and I just say dating brings you're burnt out about dating, right? And, like, the goal I'm always working with people is to recognize it before it becomes burnout, and then we've built a toolkit together that they
Yeah.
can pull from,
Okay.
so they can recover from their burnout and just reset and
Okay.
recharge
Yeah.
themselves and know when they feel ready and know when to stop, right?
How
And
does someone who feels burnout right now, how do they reset and recharge?
yeah, so we're gonna first of all, we're going to this sounds so cliche, and people throw this around all the time, and they do it interchangeably, and I really don't see it that way, but we're
Okay.
gonna love ourselves, like, radically love ourselves, and we're going to it's like pulling your energy back and getting, like, grounded again, and pulling it back into yourself so you can refill your well, right?
Oh,
And I know this because I've been burnt out many times. And many different factors, right? I've been burnt out many times and I've cried for help and was not met with any. And so I was like, well, I have to do this myself. Like I literally asked for 1 day off. You don't have to pay me. I just need a day. And I couldn't get it, right? So that is you so self-love, self-care is what you do to show yourself love.
beautiful.
Right? So we need to find out like how can we recharge your battery? And for some people it's really drawing inward, and for some people it's expansion, right? Like it was for me.
Sure.
Right? We're going to expand our network and intentionally love everything we bring into our lives and be clear about it.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to practice all those good relationship habits, making promises, keeping them, showing up for people, showing people you see them.
Mm.
Right? So you keep all those, like, good behaviors, those good things that you wanna bring into a relationship, you bring them into other relationships
Okay.
around you with a lot more intentionality. Because a lot of people, like, they really only give that feeling to, like, their partner, and
Mm,
their friends are kind of, like, auxiliary in a way,
yeah.
and it's like, "No, you really need all of it,"
Mm,
you know? You need the whole picture because we all know, and you can say it all the time, and people still, like, don't quite, but no one person can be everything to you.
no, no, that's true.
So, you need your whole system put together.
That's really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people really, I would say, like, I have like free guides on my website, and one of them that is downloaded all the time is How to Love Yourself.
That's so interesting to
I
me.
know. I know. The burnout guide is like maybe 2 or 3 times I've had it downloaded. How to Love Yourself all the time.
That's interesting to me. Yep. Well, I'm learning how to love myself.
It's a journey. You're
I'm in
never,
a different space. I said, I never knew how to love myself, kind of ever. And and when I had children, I just kept giving and giving and giving, and I'm, working on all the different things I'm working on. You give and you give and you give, and it just runs out. It
hmm
just runs out.
hmm
And if you're not paying attention to the meter, the
hmm
thermometer in there, like yesterday, I looked at Dave. I said, I can't talk. I actually can't talk. I can't speak. I have to go, and I need my time.
hmm
I just can't entertain one more word from anybody.
hmm
I just realized, oh, I didn't even manage myself.
hmm
We have to manage that, but it's not um common to just be like, "No, I love myself." And when we find that person, we kind of judge them. We're like, "Oh, they're high on themselves. They're conceited."
Yeah.
we
Well, it's not even that. It's not even that you're ever telling anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just changes your energy. It changes your vibration. And the whole thing is that when you really love yourself, you don't let people treat you other than you should
Right,
be
because
treated.
then you have safety, then you have the security, then you know where your boundaries are, and you don't really need to be hard on those. It's like, yeah, no, that's the way
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a whole thing.
No.
It's just, oh, that doesn't work for me. It's like when people say, like, what if you meet the right person at the wrong time? And I'm like, well, I heard the word wrong. So
Right.
they're just wrong. And there are times where, you can re-encounter someone later in life, and then that's better timing. But right now they're just wrong. Wrong is wrong.
Today they're wrong.
Mhm.
Tomorrow they'll still be wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Maybe in 3 years
maybe.
they'll be right, maybe. Don't wait.
Yeah. Don't
Cuz
wait.
yeah, if they're for you, it's not going to. You're when you're ready, it's not going to pass you by. But if you're looking at the wrong time, you're not even going to see them if they're right in front of you. If you're burnt out and you're looking anyway, the person who is right for you, and I like to use the word ideal, they could be right in front of you and you wouldn't even see it because you're so clouded by your burnout that you're not even going to see it. So what is the point in even trying while you're burnt out?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people have dating app addiction, and,
Yes.
I can get people over that. I can get you over your dating app
How
addiction.
how do
People
you so somebody's listening now and they have dating app addiction. What what's the first step to get over this?
So, the first step is you need to understand that there is no, like, you need to get over your FOMO, right? And
Right.
so, it is actually just a super mechanical process.
Okay.
So the first thing you're gonna do is you're not just gonna delete the app because people don't get this. If you delete the app, it just deletes it from your phone, it doesn't delete your account.
Right.
You have to actually go in and pause or delete your account. Some apps will allow you to just pause, right? You pause
Mhm.
your profile. No one's gonna see you during this time, right? And
Okay.
then you're gonna remove it from your phone and you're gonna look at, okay, what is the longest I've ever been able to go without looking at the app? I have people who like the longest they've ever been able to go is like a day. A
Why
day.
is this?
They're just it's a reflex. You know how like you open your phone, you like check something, it's a reflex. And the thing is that when they've interacted with the app, they've had a couple different things happen. So they've had just enough random reinforcement. And this is all, I studied this so I could figure out a
Yeah.
process, right?
Yeah.
This is random reinforcement. And it's kind of like the first time I don't know, you like open a junk email that you normally wouldn't, and there's something in it.
Yep.
Okay. Where you're like, oh, I did need to know that.
Yes.
Right? What if I
Yes.
hadn't opened it? So now you're like, "Do I need to open all of them?" It's kind of that. It's like you're having just
I'm
enough.
going to miss out. I'm going
Yeah.
to miss out.
Yeah, and then it's also gamified, so it's designed to give you this hit of dopamine, and that doesn't last. And so when something happens, like you get a match or whatever, you get that hit of dopamine. The other thing that people do is that contributes to burnout is that they sit on the apps too long, and there is a way
Oh,
to use them to game the game the system. There are ways to kind of game the system
okay.
because their whole driver is to get you to pay.
Right. Oh.
So they design it in a way that you eventually go, maybe it'll get better if I pay. And
Yeah, if I go pro.
there's actually a way around that, to like stop to like increase the quality, let's say, of your
Mm,
matches. But so we set a goal and we go like, okay, if you've normally done a day, could you do 3 days?
mm,
And then we make a plan about what you're gonna do during those 3 days
to not look.
and to not look and to meet people instead. Like in real life, in network expansion, not to meet people to date, but how are we going to fill the time you usually spend kind of obsessing about
Do
this?
you think that this is a worthiness meter when people look at their app and they're like, "Oh, no one sees me," or "No, I'm not worthy." But then when they get the person or a guy or a girl on the line, they go, "Oh, oh, see, I'm seen."
Yeah.
Is that something that is happening?
Yeah, that's why there's so many cheaters on the apps because they want validation and they'll take it from anywhere.
Oy. Okay,
They just want
how do you
validation.
find out if someone's a cheater?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to look for signs. You just get skilled after a while and you just look for
What are
signs.
the signs?
Like signs would be a lot of weird barriers to when they can talk,
Okay.
right? And if you're like chatting with them and you're like, well, let's go grab coffee, and they just keep like they come up with an excuse more than like twice, right? Once or
Okay.
twice. Cause why
Okay.
are they there, right? If they're not gonna make time to at least meet you for a coffee.
Okay.
So if they keep coming up with they're cheating.
Okay. And that's
Or
just
they're not serious, which is essentially the same. Who cares, right?
wow, that's true actually.
If they're not serious, so they're just time wasters and they're just there for validation, they're there for the same reason. And that's not, if you're on there to find somebody, that's not why you're there. So it doesn't really matter. It just matters that they want something other than what you want. And so and you don't want to be having an affair or
No,
whatever,
no,
right?
and you don't
And
want
you
to
don't
be the
want to
person.
just be there to feed someone's ego or make them
No,
feel better. That's not your job.
no. On your website is the the 6 steps path life.
Mhm.
What are the 6 steps?
Yeah, so what we do with the 6 steps is it's basically it's 6 steps, each step has a couple of exercises.
Okay.
And so when we go through it, and that's in the e-course, if it's one-on-one, it's super just customized. Like
Okay.
I'm pulling from all of that plus plus, right?
Okay.
But if you just do the course, you're gonna have 6 steps, two exercises per. And the first thing we're gonna do is what we talked about earlier, which is you break down you're gonna look for through lines in your past, right? We
Oh.
need to take a hard look. And so we kind of bookended it with two we're gonna bookend it with kind of like two sort of difficult, painful things. But it's in order to get rid of it, right?
So
Move
this is
forward.
really you're a change agent.
The point is it's permanent.
Yes.
Like, once we're done, I just want an update from you. I
Beautiful.
don't need to keep seeing you. Like, you've got it. And we have like with one-on-one, like I have people can check back in when they start dating, and we can like meet again and things like
Sure.
that, to go over stuff if you feel yourself like going
Sure.
back to old patterns and things like that. But so
Yeah.
we're gonna like go through, we're gonna look for through lines.
Yeah.
We're going to dismantle, like examine your influences and dismantle them. We're gonna look
Mhm.
at who you think you are versus who other people see you as versus who you see yourself in the future. Like when I picture like for the longest time when I pictured my future, I pictured one of those people in like the like influencer, like look at your house. Okay, I can't have that house. Like this is all look, it's all like white shelves. It's all like aesthetic. I like my stuff is sentimental and I want to look at it.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Well,
there's
this is
kind
the
of
only room that looks like this. Everything else is actually real life pictures. I don't have anything purchased. It's all memory, gift, somebody made
yeah, I'm like a
something.
display person, and so I have, like, my stuff out.
Yeah.
So and we also just have, like we're like 2 closets and a garage short of decency in my place. So, we've just I got stuff everywhere, and, like but I pictured this person, and it's like this white house, and it's like the houses they show on, like, Selling Sunset or whatever, and
Yes.
it's, like, all clean and, like,
Yes.
ultra modern, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's never gonna be me, and the idea that I would be that person
Mm.
is like, why am I imagining that? So we're gonna really look at like, who's this person you're imagining and what do they actually have in common with you? Then we're gonna figure out what actually makes sense and where we can like bridge the gaps.
Yes.
And so we make a plan to bridge the gaps and we go through that. Um, and then we go through um getting super specific. So
Mm.
we stop saying silly things like, I want someone who's honest. It's really important to me. Like we get specific. What does that look like to you? Does that look like I tell you everything I'm thinking, regardless of your mood, what's going on, whatever? Or is it
Right.
just that like I'm not actively lying to you? Right. Or, like where is
Right.
it? Like
And
we
then
get,
how does that person who want honesty, how do you react when someone does give you honesty?
yeah.
Is what you're saying. What
Yeah.
like
Like
'cause
let's actually look at like, how do you express that?
sure.
Because it's really it's like the same thing, it's like the family thing, right? If
Yeah.
it's like family to you means being close to your parents, and family to someone else means I intentionally build, a life around me of people with whom I trust completely.
Hmm.
Right? Like those are two different things. And if
Yes.
you're looking for one and you mean the other, like it
Yes.
so um, so we go through that. We go through so we get super specific about that. And then we also go through pain and rejection and how
Mm.
we're gonna overcome that and how we're basically gonna rewrite your story so you can leave that in the past and stop protecting it and avoiding it.
Wow.
So that's what we do. And then we make a blueprint, and then your blueprint is what you move forward with.
Oh my goodness.
So you can stick to it and it's very specific to you. And it can change over time, but you understand what your pillars are, your 6 steps. What are they?
Okay.
What are your
See,
6 pillars
if
that you're
if
holding on to?
heaven help me if I was in the dating world. I don't even know, but I would come and see you.
I mean, the I would yeah, like the really
I
unfortunate
You'd be
thing.
the first person I call, although I do not want that for my life, and I know Dave doesn't want it either, but
No,
you
tell
would
your single
be
friends though, because the other thing I love is give me a woman over 40. I love it. I love it because you're so ready. You're so ready because you know who you are and you've
mm,
been through it and you know what it like really takes to get through life.
wait till you get to 50.
I am
I
like, I thought 40 was like super great. And
do.
I am like, yeah,
And here's the thing, I'm gonna be 50 in August, and I'm menopausal, so there's no chance. Like I'm a new person. I just don't
yeah.
have the baggage or the issues or the tensions that I used to have. It has just been an incredible spiritual journey for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lori. I appreciate I appreciate your time
Yeah.
and having this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you.
I want to help people. That's what I care about, because I feel like when you have that beautiful, loving, supportive, stable relationship, you can fly. And if you want that in your life, I want you to have it.
Yeah, me too. I want people to know that they can come to my podcast, my website, and find the ingredients to live a good life.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
This is part of it. So thank you for adding to the pile, adding to the ingredient list of how to live a really good life.
Yeah.
This has been
My
beautiful.
pleasure. It's been
Yeah.
my pleasure. Absolutely.